morning and welcome to the African Heritage Diaspora Television, still the #1 voice for Africans in Atlanta. It is not by accident that Clark Atlanta University remains the center of excellence among the historical black colleges here in the educational curriculum in America. Of course, God always puts somebody in charge to maintain excellence. And this is why this historical colleges is making great news all over the globe. With me today is the #1 citizen of Clark Atlanta University, the current president, Dr. Carlton Brown, to discuss the excellence in Clark Atlanta University. Dr. Carlton Brown, you are welcome to the African Heritage Diaspora Television.
Well, thank you, Chief Tunde. It is great to be here with you.
Well, you are such an awesome president and you are so busy. But what amazes me is that you have time to do what is necessary at the right time. And you do it with absolute perfection. Well, you describe in the web, on your welcome address, Clark Atlanta is the center of intellectual excellence in the international city. How will you substantiate this particular great statement?
From the pure standpoint of history,
yes,
this has been the location of so much intellectual activity that relates not only to the fortunes of African Americans in Atlanta, but the fortunes of people of African descent around the world. W.B. Du Bois conceptualized his notions of Pan-Africanism on these shores right here.
Correct.
As well as the beginnings of the NAACP
yes,
were conceptualized here. He viewed this place as a place that would be the repository and the focal point of all knowledge about the international black community. He pursued that aim from 1910 all the way up until his retirement in 1946.
Right.
Further, if you just look at our contemporary circumstances, we boast an alum who was part of the Coca-Cola family that participated in the dismantling of apartheid in South Africa.
Correct.
From his standpoint as the president of Coca-Cola Africa.
Absolutely correct.
The current vice president, executive vice president of that same company is a former president of Coca-Cola Africa and a graduate of this institution and an African. And so there's this history that says that we not only understand, but we impact the entire world. We do it through the lens of Pan-Africanism.
Correct.
And so all that we do is influenced by that. Even when we choose to be a major research center for cancer, we focus that work on the primary cancers impacting African American men, namely prostate cancer. This is the home of the Whitney M. Young Jr. School of Social Work. This was where Whitney Young was prior to joining and expanding the Urban League. He was followed in that role by E. Franklin Frazier. Horace Mann Bond led the School of Education here. And so we have this enormous legacy.
Okay.
We also draw in a contemporary way those faculty and students who understand the importance of service, of making a difference, and who understand their role as global citizens.
Okay.
So those are the things that I claim.
To make that powerful statement, and you justified it by your explanation. Well, looking at the historical legacy of Clark Atlanta University, from the Atlanta University to Clark College, and now to the journey of the Atlanta University Center.
Yes.
You are the big brother. And what a journey. I like you to actually tell us the historical background. I think you are the third president right now, from the first initiative of the first president,
yes,
and up to your own particular area of making that Clark Atlanta is right at the zenith of his calling. Will you be able to tell us how the journey has been?
Well, the Atlanta University Center,
yes,
as a whole and in its parts,
has
always grown from great vision.
Yes.
And in many instances and at many points in time, the vision articulated particularly by those who led Atlanta University were always far away and above what others thought about.
Right.
So this conception of a great university on this land really goes all the way back to the point of our origin right after slavery, when even those whites who started the place understood the necessity of building a cadre of intellectual African Americans who could exercise power in this world. So one of those critical moments of vision comes in 1988.
Yes.
When Clark College, a comprehensive selective admission undergraduate institution, and Atlanta University, the only standalone graduate institution in the HBCU community, chose to make a bigger, better institution called Clark Atlanta University, which is now an institution with the highest classification as a Research I institution. Carnegie classified by the number of doctoral programs that we offer, the number of doctoral students that we graduate each year, and the range and quality of the research that we engage in. Not to mention the overwhelming power of so many of our undergraduate programs.
That's correct.
So the vision was that we would build such an institution, the only one of its kind really, and only one of 4 Research I institutions in the HBCU community, to have that kind of impact that great universities always have beyond their own communities. And so I saw that move then. I was at Hampton at the time as a dean. I thought it was a great move at that time. Little did I know that the day would come when I would have the opportunity to actualize that vision.
That's right. And that vision is actually working now. That's why we say vision is greater than ambition.
Yes.
Dr. Carlton Brown, it's quite interesting to see the huge record of success of Clark Atlanta University. The derivation has shifted from Cambridge University in London, Oxford University. Everybody wants to be here because of the idea of bridging the gap and building the bridge. And the brain gain for the entire African nations and the diaspora. I have seen a lot of great records for Clark Atlanta University. And what is the population of this university as of now?
We have about 4,000 students right now.
Okay.
We are beginning a new growth trajectory.
Right.
So our enrollment is higher than it was last year.
Okay.
And it will continue to rise across every level of the institution, undergraduate, master's, and doctoral.
Okay.
We have aspirations to be as large as 5,000 students in the not-too-distant future.
Okay.
That, of course, extends our reach as we're already the largest of the institutions that hold membership in the UNCF, United Negro College Fund.
Okay.
We're already the largest of those institutions supported by the Methodist Church. And we're already one of the largest of all HBCUs. And so we intend to consolidate our power, extend our reach, exercise a kind of growth that will be quite spectacular in its outcomes and its impact.
Okay. Yeah, before I go to one of the specific points of day-to-day activities in this college is affiliated with United Methodist.
Yes.
Can you tell us something about that? Browse something about it.
Well, Clark College is the source of the Methodist connection.
Correct.
Clark College at one time was Clark University.
Good.
The United Methodist Church began about 11 institutions of higher education specifically for African Americans around the country.
Okay.
Clark University was seen as the flagship of those institutions and had great aspirations for university status. That was submerged to become a part of the Atlanta University Center. The vision for the Atlanta University Center: one excellent institution for men, one excellent institution for women, an open admissions coeducational institution, a selective admissions coeducational institution, a theological seminary, and a graduate school. So Clark College, in coming to this location, became Clark College at that point as the selective institution, comprehensive undergraduate institution with quality programs, and maintained the Methodist affiliation. At the point of consolidation, we chose to make that affiliation broader And so we maintain that connectivity now, and the Methodist Church continues to support the institution fairly well, I might add, as it continues its growth. And so we expect those kinds of things to impact our nature and our character. We expect that the history of AU as an institution that always defied injustice, that always pursued change, that always saw itself as larger than its circumstances, that those two things define our character. And they're really embodied in both of our mottos now. I'll find a way or make one. And at many points in the history of AU, making the right decision became difficult and would cause difficulty. And so the mode was, we will always be correct and forward-looking in our decision-making, and we will always find a way to get past the difficulty of having made the right decision.
That's right.
In an unjust world, right decisions bring pain, but they must be made by those who choose to make an impact. And then from the Clark College side, culture for service. The whole purpose was to develop young men and women of character and of intelligence and of skill and knowledge to go out and serve others, to raise the level of understanding and enterprise and activity and education in others. So you put those two things together. When we fully actualize all of this, this will be one of the most powerful, impactful, and meaningful institutions in America or in the world.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for telling us extensively the mission and vision of Clark Atlanta University. Now I'm taking you up on this. African nation, the 54 nation, is looking outwardly.
Yes.
That there must be a way to bridge the gap and build a bridge. The colonial debacle, with the Francophone, the Anglophone, the Lusophone, the Italian, the German, they said all is enough. Semantics, that's where this is the path to reality. This is where the action is now. Now you are prepared to broaden and also incorporate all these nations that are looking for to this institution.
Yes.
What are your future proposals and also your future outline to make sure that the center of excellence that is right now is sustained and is maintained, and people can actually boast of it in years and years to come?
Let me first contextualize the question. Anyone with any observation skills and any understanding of international affairs and economics realizes that the continent of Africa writ large is in fact the future market of the world.
Thank you.
That the growth that is about to occur on the continent of Africa will be strong enough to lift other boats.
Correct.
And so this country, if it is smart, will understand that building a quality set of relationships with African nations is in its best interest. That in fact our own economic decline can be reversed by such relationships in a substantial way. So that's point one. Point two, we go back to our points of origin. I've mentioned Du Bois already. So let's talk about Sekou Touré, and let's talk about
Kwame
Nkrumah, and all the luminaries from the
Jomo
40s, 50s, and Kenyatta. Abdel Nasser.
The Nasser.
The list goes on. Men and women
Emperor Haile Selassie.
Throughout the continent, who understood their connectivity with each other. And with those of us in the diaspora who are of African descent, and that the power of those connections and those understandings are really a power that can impact the world. And that was Du Bois's point in the 5th Pan-African Congress. That this is the future power of the planet. So, one of our new goals is to drastically increase the enrollment of non-African Americans in this institution at every level. We are focusing in significant measure on African nations, as well as Hispanics, and some others. Number two, we intend to build quality relationships with African nations. As you may know, this past spring, we were guests of the governor of Lagos State for several discussions about our relationships.
Right.
And again, I point out we were his guests. He invited us to come to discuss several matters of mutual concern. He hosted us while we were there. We had a number of very, very important conversations, and we're in the process of beginning to build a relationship that centers around youth development, that centers around sport. And as you may know, the governor of Lagos State is one of the most progressive statesmen on the continent.
Correct.
His innovations are incredible.
Sure.
But the trust that the people have invested in him is just spectacular. And it speaks to what is about to happen.
That's so.
We also have quality relationships with Ghana. We're beginning to build relationships with other nations. Liberia. I unfortunately could not take advantage of an invitation to go to Liberia earlier this year on the first Delta nonstop flight, I might add. But that will occur. I'm currently looking at an opportunity for travel to Senegal. So we're going to build these relationships and add them to the ones that we already have.
That's right.
With folks like the Asante Hene, for the listeners, the king of the Ashanti Nation, who is a good friend of ours. We met him prior to his installment. And he, in fact, visited with me when I was at Savannah State University. And so we're looking forward to his next visit to this nation, and we, of course, will bring him here. So we're building these relationships, and we want those relationships to be educational and economic. We want to be a part of Africa gaining control of its own resources, building its educational opportunities, gaining the kind of strength that is necessary, and joining those entrepreneurs from the African American community with those Africans on the continent and in the diaspora who collectively can intertwine in a pattern that will drive the economy of the future. That's the goal.
Oh, great. That makes me to actually come to this point. This is a powerful statement. Africa matters. Africa is the future. This has been the slogan of the African Heritage Foundation since the Centennial Olympic of 1996. And now for the AU to agree to now create the 6th region of Africa, we are looking forward to the area of brain gain, of which your institution will produce enormous professionals to now solve the situation in Africa, sustainable development. We are looking into communication technology. And you said it, that this is the policy, the vision and mission and goal of Clark Atlanta University. Of course, we are speaking at CAU television now. Which is now rated to be one of the most powerful television stations broadcasting the truth. I say, quote and unquote, the truth, right away from the
critical distinction.
That's right.
Critical distinction.
And I want to actually categorize this interview as a royal interview, a presidential interview, and also an intellectual interview, because a lot of people that will watch this one, they will continue to quote you. Now, Africa matters, and Africa is the future. The AU have been here on several occasions. 2004, 2007, and they are coming 2011. And you are in the center of it all, being the big brother to Morehouse College, to Spelman College, to Interdenomination Theological College. You are going to be the big host to the chairperson of Africa Union, Jim Ping, who is looking forward to meet with you for exactly what this institution stands for. What do you foresee the collaboration between Clark Atlanta University and Africa Heritage Foundation embracing and bringing together the African Union right on ground here? What do you see to that initiative?
Well, I see that initiative, that moment, will serve as a focal point and an umbrella for all of the things that we've talked about already. That we can build the kinds of relationships with the heads of African states, that will enable the citizens of both those nations and, of course, our community to begin to collaborate more effectively, to build the economic connectivity that is necessary to move things forward, to develop mutual plans for advancement.
Okay. That is superb. Actually, one of the things is creating the sixth region of Africa. We know that the issue in Africa is solved. Africa needs manpower, they need bringing, and this is what is in the kitty here. This is why this college is becoming the envy, the dinosaur of the world. And I can tell you from this interview, this is going far. This is really going far. Now, Dr. Carlton Brown, you are such an excellent personality, and you have the fear of God. And I've seen it in the students here. I've been to the school, I did a lot of research, talked to so many people. I see this is one of the most crime-free institutions, most disciplined institution. The students carry themselves, they parade themselves well, and also they are very, very proud of this institution. What is the magic you are using to disseminate all these qualities to the students?
Well, the magic
Yes.
actually precedes me.
That's right.
In this sense that every really great institution
Right.
draws a particular character of person to
Sure.
it. Over time, as things go wrong or as things get misdirected, that gets clouded, but the essence of it is always there. My task is always to discover what that is, to clean the mirror
Yes.
that reflects that,
Right.
to try to exemplify what that character is,
Yes.
and to state what that character is. And what that then does is it strengthens the population to be who they were intended to be in the first place.
That's true.
And so we attract students from all around this country and all around the world. They come with some clear purposes. We've got this great international faculty that understands in great measure what the task is.
Correct.
And they understand that our job here is not simply the development of new functionaries to fill pre-existent roles in society.
Sure.
We are about change and improvement.
Okay, good.
And so to the extent that we do our work well, we send that student forth with not only the strength and the capability to do well and make change, but with the desire and the vision to do so. Just as those we talked about from Coca-Cola Company and so many others who have taken the education here and built great things from their understandings.
That's a good point. Change remains the only constant in life, and
Absolutely.
growth is a recession.
Yes.
From what you have just said, Dr. Carlton Brown, I see that you are determined to make a lot of changes, and also from progress to progress. Now, the African matters, that is, we are talking about, I foresee bringing a lot of changes to this college, just in little or no time. We propose to have the African Heritage Research Library here, to be the nucleus of research for black people, and also technology, and also for you to raise a lot of quality students. Part of it is also heritage and culture. Yes. I see that you are so immersed in your culture because you believe strongly in your heritage. You've been to Africa, you travel, and you talk about all these values and everything. Then also looking at the area of bringing that I talk about, that your students will now have a kind of affiliation with some of the African university, which is very good. Should we now take that opportunity to pronounce this statement here? With this, we are going to present to you the parade of the 54 nations.
Excellent.
Africa matters, and Africa is the future.
Yes.
Dr. Carlton Brown, with your endorsement and to your students, this is an umbrella and insignia of inspiration, which you carry on and you believe in, and you will put right away into the mind of the students. We'd like to present this to you.
Well, thank you.
And as a treasure for you.
Well, thank you very much.
For keep.
I'm deeply appreciative of this gift. I think that this is a great, great symbol and a great, great purpose.
Thank you.
And we intend to commit to it and to cause this vision to be actualized.
Okay. Now, before we go, the current president, 44th president of America today, believed in one thing. He said, education, education, education.
Yes.
And that's exactly the nucleus of whatever we want to become. Now, with educational propensity of this college, and also the way this college is going to now mobilize and also distribute knowledge, how many Obamas do you want to produce here?
You know, let me answer that in two ways. If the world were just, they would realize that we've been producing Obamas for 100 years.
Yes.
If the world continues to move in the direction of justice, then they will realize that in what is produced here lies a significant portion of the salvation of the entire planet. Because it is these students, you know, I'll go back to Du Bois. Du Bois refers to the African American as the seventh son, born with a veil, the capacity to see things that cannot be seen by others, whether they be the oppressed or the oppressor. And so piercing the veil becomes the avenue to the salvation of the world. So we will build a paradigm in which our students understand that role to be theirs. And as we intermingle them with those from the several African countries that we will partner with, and from those from the Caribbean and South America, then they will begin to understand the true measure of the work that is in front of them, and that work is truly international, and it centers on Africa.
Dr. Brown, this is a great interview. My producer is actually signaling to me that he wants the time is not my friend. But I want to say this is the first part of this interview. We come into the second part later, whenever you have time. But viewers, you can perceive email, telephone call, and conference call. There is nothing rather than being here to be on this seat on CAU television. Trust me in this. Hope deferred, make the mind sick. When the desire are met, it's a tree of life. Dr. Carlton Brown, shall we take this opportunity to toast the progress of this CAU television, the progress of the African Heritage Diaspora Television, and the progress of Clark Atlanta University, to the benefit of humankind and also the world.
Hear, hear. Ashe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Carlton Brown.